Welcome back to the 4 Wheel Drive Podcast, driven by Shelter. That's the Southern River Band with Let It Ride again. The 4 Wheel Drive Podcast on Instagram. Flick us a message, get to us. All our episodes over at BackChat on YouTube. Ronny, beach to bush today, mate, and I understand that you've just got back from a little bit of one versus the other.
Both, yeah. A little bit of both. So just, you know that run I've been talking about all the time.
The south, north, east, west run.
The southeast of Western Australia. Yeah, that run. So from Israelite Bay, or Esperance, Israelite Bay, all the way across the Bilbunny Dunes, over to Baxter to Twilight Cove. Epic run. I honestly didn't think I'll be back out there so soon, but we went out there to do a series, and yeah, there was a bit of beach, and then there was a bit of bush, and then a bit of beach. So
beautiful.
A bit of a mix, and then half the time you were near the beach, but you couldn't get there because it's a cliff.
Yep, it does look pretty extreme. And any further, I suppose, what are your thoughts now with the Troopy as it starts to come together? How did it perform for you? What was the how was it comfortable enough for you?
Mate, epic.
Yep.
Honestly, epic is something to do with that wheelbase. So
so the actual drive.
Yeah, the drive, just the handling of it. You'd think it'd be top heavy and stuff, and I did warm myself up onto the Bilbunny Dunes, but yeah, I was a bit of a kid in a candy store, to be honest.
Yeah.
Full throttle up the dunes and felt comfortable. It's not too top heavy, but the wheelbase is just something different. It's got a very unique wheelbase. So most utes have a similar one. Most wagons have a similar one. So you find you end up double bouncing, or you're doing that rocking and bouncing. But with the Troopy being a shorter wheelbase than a normal ute and longer than a normal Land Cruiser, it just floats. It's amazing. It's crazy. Yep. I wasn't expecting it.
And how much of that has got to do with obviously the lift that you recently put in, tyres, all of that That
definitely made a difference.
Yeah, okay.
But it's amplified the difference, because before it was actually quite comfortable.
Yep.
And I thought it's because the suspension was cooked, It was absolutely stuffed. But it felt comfortable. And it's just amplified the fact that, okay, so it wasn't really the lift that has made it that comfortable, it's the actual wheelbase. But of course, the lift has made it way more capable and more comfortable. It rose by 200 mil because it was sagging. So it's high tower at the moment.
Yeah, right.
And then once you run out of fuel and water in the back comes up and up and up. So it's pretty hard to get into.
Yeah. What were the other cars in the convoy with you?
So we had a 79 series. My mate Travis from Perth Diesel Performance, he was there. And then was Sean from Mission 4x4 in another Troopy.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So we had two Troopies on the trip. So there was plenty of banter to be had, between the ute and the Troopy, because a lot of people look at Troopy owners as being a bit weird. And so we were copying a lot of that, me and Sean.
Yeah. So where do you sit at the moment, 79 versus your Troopy?
Oh, look, because of the comfort, I'm sitting on the Troopy side at the moment. But, I love a swag, and just in the back of a tray.
Yep.
Even though it's dusty, I couldn't give a shit. It's awesome. Eating dust, setting up your swag, around the fire, cooking around the fire, because that's what I normally do with the 79, because, I don't have a pull-out kitchen and all that. But with the Troopy, honestly, going from Perth to Sydney soon for the Sydney show, that's going to be amazing.
Yep.
Just pop the roof, pull the kitchen out in the morning, cook a quick brekkie, hit the road.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Quick and easy is something that we've spoken about on this show before, about just being accessible, and the ease of that setup is going to be second to none. Isn't it? So
100%.
You almost ran out of fuel.
Yeah.
Even with your sub tank as well.
Yeah. So okay.
I'm on top of it, mate. Don't worry about that.
You know what was funny? Sean actually had less fuel than me, but his fuel light came on later. So I still had a little bit in my reserve tank, but he had drained his. So his fuel light came on after mine, but turns out I had a little bit more fuel than he did. So had we had to go the distance even further, he would have run out of fuel before me,
right?
Which would have been such a surprise. But honestly, man, I'll roll in on fumes.
Where'd you roll into?
That was Norseman.
Ah, righto.
I was too much of a tight ass at Cockabiddy Roadhouse, because it's $2.
I can imagine what it'd be up around.
$2.80 or something.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that series coming out. It'll be keep an eye on that. Everyone over at Ronnie's channel, but it's a good prelude into this beach versus bush. Obviously, you've got a good mixture of both just in your most recent trip.
Yeah.
You're preferring the Troopy over the 79 at the moment. Where do you sit with beach versus bush? What do you prefer?
You know what? I want you to answer that question first.
Okay. I think I prefer beach if I'm going for a night.
Okay.
And then I feel like I would prefer the bush if I was going for a bit longer.
So you're going with a duration.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I think the beach is in WA, and sorry to our viewers around Australia or across the seas, but I think in WA the beach is the bush is very accessible too, but the beach is such a novelty to have the beach so accessible, and you can duck in behind the dunes. I'm not saying you can do that everywhere, but you sort of can. And I feel like the novelty of being able to drive on the beach and park your car next to water and just jump in the ocean and jump out. And I feel like that, if I'm just going for a night, that's where I want to go.
Yeah.
But I feel like if I'm going for a week, I feel like there's a lot more to explore inland. So you want to head to the bush and see that, and you can obviously get to a lot more spots. But that's a bit of a weird answer. But
is that because you're seeing the beach as a destination and you're seeing the bush more as a journey? Is that your mind?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, I feel like it's just the bush. There's so much, like, you know, as soon as you step off the beach, you're in the bush. So the rest of Australia, apart from the coastline, everything else is bush. So that's where you're going. But I feel like, that the beach is just, it is, like you say, it's a destination. I can just rock up to multiple different spots along our coastline right here and pull up the swag and jump out. And I can be back in Perth at 10 o'clock the next morning if I need to be for whatever you've got on that day. So,
that is true. We are very lucky here.
But that's probably a WA bias sort of thing.
Yeah, we take it for granted here.
Yeah, because in Victoria, you don't have that access to the beach.
There's only Stockton Beach or something, right?
I couldn't even tell you. Yeah, like I'm not even all over that. So that's where in Victoria you can't even ask the question because it's all bush. So we are lucky over here. But I think I reckon from a one night trip, it's probably the beach.
Interesting. You know what? I reckon you put something in my head then I didn't even think about. So I'm going to kind of be boring and go with the same line, you know, going in that sense as well. I don't really have anything other to say apart from when you go up north, you got longer beach runs. So you can actually travel along the beach a bit more. So I think that might change your mind a little bit. But I mean, every trip is different. But in the aspect of where do I prefer camping, I would usually say the bush if there's water there. You know, by a river.
It's a big draw card, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. By a lake, not by stagnant puddles, because then we get smashed with mozzies.
Yep.
But look, the beach, I do love the beach. I do love a camp on the beach, but it has to be in an area where you can go to the other side and there's no wind.
Yep.
If you go to the south coast, for example, there's some areas you're at the mercy to the weather. And it can suck big time. It can be shit house. And I've been in some situations where, and I'm sure you have as well, where the wind has just been a nightmare.
Yeah, it can ruin your time.
Yeah. I remember one occasion, this is down at, I think it's called Wongaran now. It's sort of near Grey.
Yeah, yep, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Yep.
So before Deepa went in and made it all campsites, and said you couldn't tow trailers.
It's quite new, isn't it? The campsite part of it. Yep.
It's quite new. It's kind of good because it's a kind of like, it's not a free camp. You got to pay for it, but But before it was a free camp, you weren't technically allowed to camp there, but you kind of do anyway.
Yep.
You just leave the fishing rods out all night, or you've had a few tins. Legally, you can't move, so you're resting for the night. If you know what I mean.
Yep.
But in that particular place, it's just. We had this one windy night, and it was windy already when we went to set up camp. So I don't know why we stayed, but we were adamant we were going to stay because we'd driven that far and it had become dark by the time we got to our campsite. It was that windy that my mate who had a normal tent didn't put the outside cover on it because he couldn't. None of us could hold it for him. It was just constantly blowing away. He just goes, mate, stuff it. We're just going to hop in here. So they had a toddler, his missus and himself. Jeez. What he was happy about was he could now use his cooker inside the tent because there was airflow, right? So he's cooking in there, but the wind is howling and there's sand going in there. And we all had sandy sausages that night because I was cooking in my canopy, sand going like that into it. And the next morning was the funniest thing ever. Look, we did wake up with crumb sausage half base because it was hot inside a tent. But on the RV5, the sand went up and landed on our pillows. So me and the missus woke up with sand in our ears, sand in our face. My daughter woke up also with sand all over. But my mate Adrian and his wife Jodie and their kid Blake in that tent were complete crumb sausages, and they had the morning dew go straight through them. It was the funniest thing ever.
That is a big. So for a beach camping, if you're going to be there for 3 days and you're copping that,
mate.
You're ducking into the bush to get some cover of some trees or something like that. That is where the bush. If you're going, if you're going to the beach for a week and you're copping that for 4 of the 7 days, it makes for your experience. Yeah. Hell of a lot harder, that's for sure. So maybe the bush is starting to win after a story like that.
Yeah.
In the camping sense.
In a camping sense, the bush does, look, I guess, weather, like time of year and stuff, the best time to camp on WA coast is winter.
Yeah, for sure.
You're either going to get a crazy storm or you're going to get nothing.
Yep.
And it's also like the best boating time. And I guess if you're a boaty person, the beach is always going to be the best, right?
Yep. Yeah, if you're towing a boat, that's where you
you kind of don't want to go bush with a boat there.
Yeah. Although there are some cool, which you've done before, you can take, what's the river down in the...
Oh, the Donnelly River.
Yeah. Is that around the D'Entrecasteaux?
Yeah,
Casto?
No, I think it's outside. Actually, it might be.
Inside there?
Might be on the edge of it.
Yeah.
Not actually entirely sure. But it's close to it.
Yeah, there's some cool water to navigate, to explore there as well.
Yeah, but, that's really cool. I actually nearly knocked Lecker out of his boat.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
that would have been the worst thing.
I'm very green to boating. I had the bigger boat. He pulled up around the corner and he was starting to fish. I come around. I was a bit behind, hooking around the corner way too fast. And then I stopped. And then because I stopped, the wave became bigger.
Pushed out. Yeah. Knocked him out. I would have loved to see it, actually.
Nearly.
So camping, covered there a little bit. Forward driving, the actual forward driving itself, if you're actually out there testing your car or you're learning or whatever it may be, the beach versus the bush in that sense. And this, again, we are quite WA biased on this episode because we're both based here.
Beaches, South Australia as well.
Yeah.
They got quite a few, yeah.
Yeah, but it's sort of, what's your take on that?
I reckon for a day trip forward driving, definitely the beach because there's a chance one of your mates is going to get bogged.
Yep.
So banter's flowing. You got to play with the tides and stuff. I like it when you got to think about other things and, I don't know, it just makes it a bit more exciting. A leisurely drive on the beach is not a common thing, especially on the soft beaches. So you do have to think about it. I reckon it's fun. I reckon it's better than sometimes having a drive in the bush because a lot of time if you go to the bush, it's just, a couple of roads and tracks and stuff. Yeah. Although if you go to a particular place where you want to really test your car out and you want to flex and you just want to throw the swag out the night and have a good yarn around the fire with a couple of shelters about, who got stuck and who got recovered and stuff. I would say the bush then, but most of the time I reckon the beach is going to give you the...
Yeah, if you're chasing technical driving, forward driving and, your car's set up for that, you're probably going to the bush without question. But then I think that, the options that the beach present as well is you're going to get some dunes, some hill climbs, you're dealing with a tide, reading the sand, all of this sort of stuff as well. Like my dad actually he drove on sand for the first time in 55 years. He's about 55. He's borrowed my car and went down to Esperance with my mum during the year. Yeah. And I think it was his first time driving on sand. And the Esperance beaches, which we've spoken about, are quite hard. But even mum said that dad was so focused on because there is the risk of getting bogged in soft sand or wet sand seaweed and the tide or whatever it is. But it was almost like dad was sort of, which I do too. You sort of, like when you're forward driving up a big rocky hill, I get the leg shakes. But on the beach, there's just that little bit of like sweat on the palms because you're just not sure exactly how things are going to go. And dad said he had that feeling of just like it was a little bit nerve wracking just because of the unknown and
what's up ahead.
And
it's getting narrow.
Yeah. So in my head, before we spoke about this, I'm thinking beach is like if you want to go for a leisurely drive, go for it. But when you say that, about all the unknowns, and then the potential of what can happen out there too, which has happened to me on Esperance beaches. It's like that's where the sweaty palms can come into it as well. So there's probably pros and cons for both, but I think your technical stuff, you go into the bush, and then I feel like
if you're seeking it,
yeah, and then I feel like you've got everything with the beach as well. And like we say in WA, you spoil for choice with both. If you Victoria, New South Wales, I'm not sure completely, but you're sort of a little bit more restricted to the bush side of it, I would say.
Definitely. I think a lot of them go to Queensland or go to South Australia to get to the beach. But even if you go to Queensland, it's very, very busy on the beaches up there, because I don't think they have that many beaches. But from what I know and from what I've heard a lot about, the beaches get super busy. And you can see it even on Instagram and social media that, during school holidays, there's like a traffic jam on the beaches. Yeah. It's crazy. You'd never get that here.
Yeah. Do you ever get freaked out by the thought of like getting on the car carrier things over to like Fraser or something like that, and actually like is it Inskip Point to get out to the barge or whatever it is?
Yeah. So
like the amount of videos there are on people like stuffing that one up, that I would be.
That page is called I Got Bogged at Inskip Point.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. But
I'm so anxious.
Jono, my main camera guy, he comes from that area, right, and he says, I don't know how all these people get bogged there, because it is one of the most solid beaches around, he reckons. Really? Okay. And I'm like, really? It looks really soft. But he's like, yeah, but these people who in two-wheel drive getting bogged, then they put it in four-wheel drive, but with still the hard tyres. And I think it's just because there's so many people there, and not everyone knows about lowering your tyres and stuff. They just like have a mate going, let's go to the beach.
Yep. Yeah. Actually, this is a question without notice. It's without notice for me as well. But four-wheel driving, I thought about driving it actually. Four-wheel drive etiquette. Is there a book on that?
There should be.
Can you give me 3 things that should be in that book?
Okay, for beach driving.
Yeah. Give us
Okay.
Or if there's anything overruling, but just maybe for beach driving, because I feel like that's where a lot of it could be utilised.
Well, let's just say etiquette. Like, you can park in the middle of a track as long as you're in the middle of nowhere and you haven't seen people for days. You can have a barbecue on the track. It doesn't matter. You're not going to bother anyone. But anywhere where there are people around, you can't stop on a track. You shouldn't, especially on a beach. If there are wheel tracks, don't stop in them, pull off them so people can keep going. Because what happens is people need to keep momentum going. Not everyone has the same vehicle. So if you're parking there, someone comes up, they're going to have to stop, and then all of a sudden they're bogged. The other one I see a lot is someone is set up at the beach. They're away from the track, but because the tide's gone out since they've parked up, or they're a bit away from the shoreline because they're worried about the tide coming in because they don't know where it comes up to. They've got kids running around backwards and forwards. People will drive between it, and I just don't understand why.
Yep.
Just drive around it, slow down and drive around, and that's the other thing that really gets me. I hate seeing that, and I've had it done to myself before as well. You're like, what are you doing, mate? There's all this space behind me. What's the other thing is, if someone is stuck, go and offer some help.
Yep.
Because often that's
a good call.
Yeah, because if they're stuck and they look like they don't know what they're doing, they don't know what they're doing. They need help.
Yep. I'm reminded why I thought of this, because on the way here I had to wait behind a car, and I'm a big one for if you're waiting for a car, like, you're waiting behind a parked car on the side of the road so you can let someone else through on the other side.
Yeah.
And they thank you or they don't. Like I'm huge on that. This guy thanked me, and that's what got me thinking actually about the etiquette in four-wheel driving. Your first one about when you're on a pretty soft beach, the car's struggling a little bit. You need your momentum, and you see up ahead someone's parked like up on the they're parked right up high to the line you're on, and you're like, I've got to head towards the water here to get around these people, and I'm already at 5,000 revs. Like I'm struggling already. That is there's no scarier sight, I wouldn't have thought.
5,000 revs in your Ranger?
Nah, that wouldn't have been that. I probably was in two-wheel drive. That's
why. Redlining.
My 3 etiquette tips. Jaden's written in here my 3 etiquette tips. That's why I asked. I don't have any, but I don't know. I like the one about if you find someone in trouble, give them a hand, because you're going to need that in return one day. So that'll pay you back. And
normally they give you $50.
Really?
Even though I refuse. There was one guy once, he threw it into the back of my canopy in my old Hilux.
Yeah,
so I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm stuck with $50 now.
I bought a slab of beers for those boys that helped me. So that was, I just felt like I had to because they did a solid for me. What are 3 etiquette tips there? I'm just going to copy Ronnie, but I'm just trying to think on the fly now. I told you it was question without notice. I just, the bloke in the Navara driving past me giving me a thank you. I just appreciated it. I don't know. Actually, your thoughts on, so I'm guilty of it myself. I think we all might have been from time to time, is getting onto a beach and just not lowering our tyres until we actually need to, or tracks and stuff like that. And I don't do it, and a lot of the time I think to myself, I really should be doing that because I'm going to get pissed off at the bloke who's created the corrugations, but it's actually me doing it. I'm joining in, helping out, or whatever it might, corrugations, whatever it is. But that
tends to happen a lot. Like I've seen a full drive club once. They left the beach at Wilbinga, so they've just left the beach, right? So they're less than 300 meters away from the beach. They're pumping up their tires, and they still got to drive out.
Yeah.
And I was just like, "You're a full drive club, and what in the actual shit are you doing? You know why?"
They're not great tracks too on the.
No, they're horrible, man. I can't stand that area.
Yeah.
It's just so. Oh man, it's not an enjoyable drive.
It's cowboy country in there. It's just go for broke, isn't it?
It's actually safer to drive in there during like dark hours because you can see the lights before they come because you're meant to do about 40 Ks there. I mean, that's a reasonable speed to do, but if you've got 2 people doing 40 Ks around a blind corner, you've just got the chance to stop. But when some idiot's flogging it at like 60, 80, you're going to have both at the point to the bush.
Yeah. And we may have all been a little bit guilty of that too. I reckon I've seen people doing 40 Ks in reverse around Finger before. Jaden, I'm not going to claim this one because you have put this in, but just cleaning up after yourself is a great. That should be rule number 1 in the etiquette guidelines.
That's more the camping though, eh?
Yeah, I mean it is, but it's sort of. I just feel like that's a big one for.
Definitely, and I think everyone should also, if you got extra room in your bin bag, pick up some more rubbish.
Yeah, true. Yep.
Because if everyone does that, it sorts out the people who leave this shit everywhere.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, so we probably covered this a little bit in past episodes as well, but it'd be good to touch on now is just if you're learning, we sort of spoke at the beginning of our shows that, we want to sort of take it on a little bit of a journey so we're not, we've got the novice and the expert and we everywhere in between. But if you're starting out with four-wheel driving, are you heading to the bush or the beach?
Look, I would say head to a popular beach if you're in WA. I know it's difficult on the East Coast. In that case, go to the bush if you don't have a beach. But look, I really like to go straight into the deep end because if you learn on soft sand straight away, you're like tire pressures.
Yep.
That's gonna be burnt into their minds. But look, the flip side of it, they can have a horrible time. The wife stresses out, the kids are stressing out, or even the dude stresses out, and they just don't want to go full driving again. So that is that risk.
Yep.
So for a newbie, beginner, study tire pressures, then go to the beach. If not, go to the bush.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. What about in a convoy? So if you're doing a big trip, maybe one of the tag-alongs that you've done in the past, or is it? What's the preference there?
Convoys on beaches can be problematic, especially if the beach gets narrow.
Yep.
Because if someone in the middle gets bogged, all of a sudden everyone behind the person in the middle are now stuck behind them.
Yep.
So convoys on a beach, it is very, very important to only enter a beach at the peak of high tide so that you know the tide's going out and then you know how far you can go. If you are going into an incoming tide, high tide's in a couple of hours, mate, you get bogged. Next minute, someone else gets bogged.
Yep.
Those hours are going to go quick. And then all of a sudden, everyone's freaking out, everyone's stressing, and, it's potential for someone to lose a vehicle.
Yep. Yeah,
or lose their mind.
Yeah, either. What about, this is a little bit off topic as well, but in a convoy, what is the order of vehicles? Is your most capable up the front? How do you say there's a convoy of 4 and you've got sort of two fairly stock vehicles and 2 quite well equipped. Yep. Where are you putting them in a convoy?
I think it's not necessarily the most capable car at the front. I think it's the most capable person to make the right decision.
Okay, so the driver.
Yeah, like the convoy leader. It could be any vehicle. Because that person, if he fears that, look, my car's not the best for this, they're not going to go that way, or he'll call someone to go in front and do it, if that was the case. But it's probably never the case, really. I would put a really capable driver in the middle.
Yep.
And a very responsible driver at the back who is going to assist in like letting you know that, hey, Tail and Charlie, or whatever you want to call your last vehicle, generally speaking, in a big convoy is Tail and Charlie.
Tail end Charlie.
Tail end Charlie.
Oh, right, yep.
The reason why it's Tail end Charlie is because sometimes when you press the radio, you're saying tail, you press the radio end Charlie. So it's like, it's Tail end Charlie.
Right.
Yeah. So that person's responsibility is to say, look, we've all left the beach. We've all made a right turn. We've all made a left turn. Old mate's stuck. Can we get some help? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Because if you don't have someone at the back who's not keeping an eye on that is willy-nilly driving around, there might be a gap in a convoy. All of a sudden, someone's gone the wrong way.
Yeah, okay.
And that happens.
Yeah, I bet it would. I'm probably a little bit naive to that sort of situation.
Depends on the convoy size as well.
Yeah.
There's only 3 of you. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. I suppose I'm thinking as well, like, what have you got recovery-wise in front or behind?
Yeah.
The less capable cars, if they've only got front recovery points or a tow hitch at the back.
That's where like a good convoy leader kind of sorts that out. But I'm glad you brought that up because, most people who go to the beach, they only go like 2 or 3 people or something. But it's a very good point to bring up because if the beach is really narrow and all the recovery gear is at the car in front, you kind of want that gear spread out.
Yep.
So, and have a bit of an action plan. You don't want to enter a beach and then I go, oh shit, we didn't check the tide. Oh crap, Jimmy's bogged. Oh crap, John's got the bloody recovery gear and he's up there. He's not coming back because the beach is getting narrower.
Yep. It's a little chess game, really, isn't it? Especially with the remote travel, I think you'd have to be right on top of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely with remote travel, it's more like your spare parts and just keeping calm, cool.
Yep. I'm going to flip it on you now. So you've just got back from a trip, so you're probably looking for a little bit of time at home. But say in a week's time, I'm going to give you 2 nights to head away just by yourself.
Okay.
Escaping by yourself, beach to bush again. Give us the rundown.
As soon as you said that, I was straight in the bush.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
I was straight up at the property that I've got access to where I know no one else is going to come up there.
Yep.
That's where I was thinking.
Perfect.
A nice fire in an arid sort of landscape. No water around, funnily enough.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's where I would have gone. It's only 2 nights,
Yeah. What about you, Jade? Sleeping.
Sorry. Not much going on back here for me. I don't know. My thought was just immediately beach.
Yeah.
Bit of the opposite of Ronnie. But when he said the fire, immediately thought bush. And that sounds incredible. I actually thought of your that little time-lapse video you did.
Oh.
You know that one?
Yeah,
that was beautiful.
yeah,
we put it up on the 4Drive podcast, but you don't have social media,
No, I
Duggan.
don't.
That was unreal. That made me want to go to the bush.
Yeah. That was one of my favourite time lapses because of the party lights on the Troopy.
Party lights.
Bounced off the trees.
The stars, the fire. It was...
Yeah.
Mate.
Milky Way was in the right spot.
Well, I'll have to jump in the loop after this, boys, and check that out.
That was me. What about you, Duggo?
2 nights. I think the bush. Yep. I think 2... Because I don't go on big trips. Like we spoke about at the start, like if I was going for a week, I'd still probably prefer the bush as well. Night, I might just duck an hour and a half away from Perth and do
a particular spot you're thinking of?
Dwelling up area.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's probably my 2-nighter, which I've done before. Yeah. I've got water in mind, though, when I think of that. So
yeah,
it's on the river there.
What river's that one?
It's the Murray through there, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think it is, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's throw it around then. Go to beach and go to bush spot for a 2-nighter, say.
Oh,
so
2-nighter?
You've land that you've got access to.
If I'm going to the beach, I'm straight down Bremer Bay.
Oh, right. Okay.
Without a shadow of a doubt, because...
Even for 2 nights?
Yeah, because even
wow.
if it's blowing like crap on one side, just go to the other side.
Okay.
And great spot for the kids.
Yep.
They absolutely love that area. I'd even bring the dog as well. There's no 1080 baits there, so that's all safe.
Yeah, right.
I can't take a dog to that property because it's 1080 baits. We actually lost a dog out there once before.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Jack Russell. Yeah, that sucked.
Yeah, that's never nice. What about you, Jaden? You got any like beach bush spots that you regular?
Down south is always nice. For 2 nights, I kind of like Lucky Bay Shacks. It's up north.
Oh, near Horror.
You know that one? Yeah.
Yep.
Love that spot up there.
Yeah.
That's really nice because there's like a nice little inlet bit as well where
The lagoon sort of
the
thing.
lagoon
Yeah.
type thing. Yeah,
That's
that's
awesome.
really nice. And then dwelling up, I was going to say for the bush type as well. I really enjoy dwelling up just because of the water as well. Like you were saying, Duggan.
Yeah.
The water, the little river across. It's just unreal.
Yes.
The only thing is, last time I went to dwelling up, there was a bunch of like smashed glass everywhere, and just like that was like.
Is that in
mate,
like in
come
the
on.
designated sort of camp areas or more?
Nah, more
further
towards
south?
like the
Like your secret camps.
yeah,
there?
secret kind of campsites area. Like
There's
you
a
got to
lot-
go. You got to have a decent 4-wheel-drive to get down there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
that's down
that
the
was-
Captain Fawcett track, yeah?
Yeah, you know the one.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
good. So in your minds then, what has more to do?
What has more to do? Oh, man. I think it depends on time of year, you know. Look, I feel it's hard to say there's more to do in the bush. But what I will say is there's as much to do in the bush as there is on the beach. If you're not into fishing, there might not be that much to do at the beach, really.
Yep.
You know, you're bringing kids, what are you bringing as well? So if you're bringing kids, the beach is easy to keep the kids busy and just get them like completely smashed out with activities so they just pass out at night. That's great. They will do that in the bush as well, but there's nothing wipes out a kid more than ocean water.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
Yep.
I guess the other thing, what about, I'm going to ask you first actually, what don't you like about beach camping?
The wind, for one, is just what we've touched on.
Give us 3 things. So the wind is one of them.
The wind is one. I would say, this is going to sound pretty bloody weird, but being sandy.
Sandy?
Like, not like sandy like you spoke about before where it's like hitting you in the tent and stuff, but even just like, I don't know, you're obviously going swimming while you're there and then you're just going to, I just don't like being sandy.
Yeah.
Often.
You know what's really good at that? Baby powder.
Yeah.
Baby powder and a
Talcum
brush.
powder, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
You have it'll be soft. Your skin will be soft and you'll get all the sand off.
There you go.
So just a little trick for you.
That
Talcum
is,
powder's
that's
a
good to know.
bomb, man.
Because I love the beach and I love everything about it. But then there's just like this, I just don't want to go to bed with sand on my feet and stuff like that. And then it's just all coarse down the bottom of your like sleeping bag and stuff like that. The other thing I would say, I don't know. There's not much.
Okay.
There's not much that's
Well, that's
pretty,
good then. There's
not
only
much
2 things
bad.
you don't like.
Yeah. The wind is the worst one. For
The
sure.
wind, oh yeah. Look, the wind is definitely the worst. Look, I don't really like sand in my swag either, and it's worse when there's kids around because you have to just give up.
Less awareness around.
Don't
bringing
worry about
sand in
talcum powder
isn't
and the
there?
kids are there, man. I would say sea spray.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and you don't notice it until
Like on you or your car?
just everything.
Yeah.
You wake up sticky.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm gonna sound like the Vickers Whinger here
We're
as well.
getting a bit precious, aren't we?
Chafing from
What?
being in the seawater. I have to rinse afterwards.
You got the big quaddies, is that why?
Mate.
I got skinny legs, so I'm all good.
Mate, I chafe. I chafe.
I've got
hate
a mate who's like that too. He's never out of skins.
Oh man, I always bring talcum powder with me just in case the chafe starts. You know.
Yeah, right. Too much
Yeah.
leg work, mate.
Oh, too much. Yeah. Speaking, leg day was actually 2 days ago, and I'm still sore.
Well, I don't have that issue, but I could. Yeah, I'm sure that would be a real pain in the ass.
It is, mate. The same thing happens with heat rashes, actually.
Yeah, right.
Same thing again, but talcum powder. Just keep yourself nice and clean. It's all good.
Things are just lining up for the bush,
Right.
aren't they? That's funny.
Yeah.
This is the 4 Drive podcast driven by Shelter. We're back into it with around the fire pit. The crackle gets going. The
There we
time
go.
I shut the computer and Jaden takes over as host for a little bit.
Throw it in the fire.
Just a little bit.
Little bit, mate.
Just a little bit.
Don't do too well, or I
No.
might be out of the chair.
Oh, don't think we can get rid of you, Duggo.
Mate, Duggan's holding everything together here.
Oh, I don't know about
yeah,
that,
mate,
boys.
you're the glue over here, mate.
I'm getting found out here.
You asked me to do the intro, I wouldn't know where to start.
It's a good thing we've got Duggo then, hey? Very good thing. Don't leave us, mate.
It's a good thing we got notes. That's what I reckon.
All right, boys, we got a few questions in today. Our first one, and we were talking about this a bit beforehand, before we even knew what the questions were going to be. But this one from Two Cubs Camping. What are your thoughts on the 2024 70 Series Hilux engine, and also the Prados? The Prados have had a change as well, I believe.
Yeah, it's a very interesting topic. Now, I have limited information on it because that came out just before I left, and I just got back, and it's been hectic since I've been back. But what I do know is, yes, the 70 Series is coming out with a 2.8 litre Hilux engine. The one that's in the Prado as well, the current Prado, the 150.
With the automatic transmission.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, with an automatic transmission. But that's an option. You can still get the V8.
Okay, that's massive that they've kept that.
Yeah. So you can still get the V8, and the reason why I saved that information for a few days was to create a bit of a stir.
Right.
Because good publicity, bad publicity, doesn't matter.
Yep.
It gets out there.
Yep.
And I'll tell you what, a lot of people are excited about the 2.8 litre. Chris, my camera guy, who also does the filming for the TV show, he does filming for me every now and then. He's been waiting for this to happen.
Right.
And it just happened. I said to him, there's no way they're ever going to do that.
Did he have a feeling it would happen?
Yeah, he did actually.
Yeah, okay.
He was like, nah, I reckon that's what's going to happen. I was like, no way, they're going to put the 300 engine in it. But turns out he was right. So Chris, you're right. I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But he's put an order in for a Troopy for the 2.8.
Right.
So fingers crossed he gets that.
It's going to be... It'll be interesting to see what the uptake in is, because I think a lot of people would love the 70 Series option, but I think for a lot of people in the city, the manual is inconvenient because of, if you're driving around the city, you want the ease of an auto. But if you've got the best of both worlds now to choose,
you can choose either.
You've got either, and I feel like
good.
it could be a massive game changer. I don't know if it will be or not. I don't know if people will love it or not, but it just feels like it's got the ability to be anything.
I think fleet companies are going to jump on board and
Should
going to
do.
get a lot of 2.8s because theoretically speaking, it should be a more fuel efficient vehicle.
Yep.
The turning circle's not going to improve. It's still going to be shit house.
Yeah, well, it's the same car effectively, isn't it? Like Shell and
they still haven't fixed the rear axle, so that's still narrow.
That is a bit odd though as well. Isn't
I know.
It? Like,
it's very strange.
anyway,
but also, so from my understanding, the GXL will either have one of the two options or maybe both options, where the lower model will only have the 2.8 or something.
okay.
I think, which will probably be the Workmate, I guess, if they're going to.
So the Workmate will only have the 2.8, is your
I believe
understanding,
so.
not the V8 anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I believe so. That from my understanding. But there's a bit of information out there about it now.
Yep.
There's a bit more about it, and by the time this gets released, there'll be even more information. The Prado.
Have you seen the shape?
The Prado. Well, okay, let's go back to 70 first. The 70 shape, I first saw it when I left, and then when I came back, I looked at it again, and I was like, it's grown on me a little bit.
Is the 70s shape different?
Changing the shape, yeah. They got different headlights.
Can I Google that?
Mate, you're allowed to open up the laptop.
I don't want people to think I'm cheating.
So to change the look on the 70, I wasn't too crash hot on it to start with, but it's actually grown on me a bit. It's a bit like the N70 Hilux when I first came out. I was like, that is the ugliest car I've ever seen. 2 years later, I bought one.
I've typed in 24 70 series and it's popped up with a heap of different camera lenses.
Oh.
Anyway.
Are they camera lenses?
You're taking over my job, Duggo.
We're doing a straight swap, you and I.
You're starting up a podcast?
Yeah, next episode I'll be in the seat and Duggo will be behind the camera, behind the desk.
Oh, okay, I'm with you now.
Yeah.
But 70 series look a bit ugly from the stock anyway, don't they? I mean, I think they look a bit ugly until you put a bit of bar work on it and some stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
I don't mind the stock 70. It kind of looks old school. But, you know, the ones before with the narrower bonnet, they definitely look better when they're stock. And you know what? I saw one the other day. It looked like it just came off a showroom. It was the old 78 Troopy with the old bonnet, and I was like, that looked like it just came off a showroom floor. It's like someone had parked it its whole entire life and then just driven it out.
Yeah, right.
It looks so mint. In regards to the Prado, I do know that the American version will have, and this is going to be huge in America because they haven't had a Land Cruiser option for ages. They've had like the Lexus version of the 200. They had the 4Runner, which we couldn't get here. They got a Tacoma, but then they haven't had a Land Cruiser since the 80 series, right? So this is huge for America, and I reckon they're going to just sell heaps of these.
So this will be in America, the Prado.
Yeah, so they'll be released as a Land Cruiser.
Right. I don't mind the shape of it. I don't mind the look.
Yeah, I reckon it looks good, eh? Like, for a modern vehicle, that looks really good. But they're going to have the hybrid version. So it's going to be petrol. I forgot what the engine size is, but it's also going to have electric, which I reckon would actually go really well in Australia. I don't actually know if they're going to do the same thing in Australia, but if they do, I reckon if I was going to get a Prado, I would get that Prado over a diesel Prado.
Right.
Because you can always expand the fuel tank. You can always carry more petrol. You're not going to have a DPF, so you can actually get some nice sound out of it, because that's important to me.
and me.
It's important to a lot of people. And if it's not important to some people who are listening, they just won't understand it. It's just one of those things, right? But the electric side of it, I reckon, is pretty cool because you should be able to get further.
It's it'd be interesting to see how it all pans out. I reckon. I feel like I feel like they've just upped the ante a little bit there, Toyota, with the options that they've brought forward. But that's pretty cool. I can't wait to see what comes of all this.
You could always. I wonder if you bring a generator. I know you bring in more fuel, but if you bring a generator to charge the battery power on the vehicle, if that's possible, would the efficiency of that outweigh driving with petrol? That's an interesting thing I'd like to know. Because if it doesn't, you could charge your car up at camp at night.
With a generator.
With a generator.
I'd double back there. I was starting to lose you a little bit. So let's get to the expert level that I can't keep up with. There you go.
Yeah. But you know what? Some people who camp snore so loud, it's like a freaking generator.
Yeah, I've
so
heard that before.
When you're in that situation, just get a bloody Jenny out.
Yeah.
You're not going to hear it.
Yep.
I mean, you can put the generator a bit further away from camp, can't you?
Yeah, well, we normally tell people that snore to go further away from camp. But this recent trip I was on, we had to have the awnings out because it was raining, and then everyone's like right there. So it's like generator there. I felt like getting an extension cord and plugging it into the swag to see if I could charge the car up.
I'm sorry, mate, but if you're snoring, it's just unlucky. You're out in the rain. Yeah, it's my awning.
Yeah, that's how I should have thought. Yeah, I should have just packed the awning up.
Yeah, just pack it up, mate. Yeah. Don't snore.
Don't snore. Yeah.
All right, we're happy with that one, boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There'll be more to come, I would say.
Yeah. I do have a funny story here if you want to hear it around the fire.
I'd love it. Well, it's on.
I'd love to, mate.
I'm just not going to mention a name though. Okay, this didn't happen on this trip I just went on because otherwise people would know who I'm talking about. Although it may have been someone on.
Just say the name at this point, mate.
So, at night, when in a rooftop tent, you need to go to the toilet. Often it's too cold outside. You don't want to climb down. So sometimes people open the side flap and, you can kind of guess what's going to happen there.
Yep.
Except for one particular time, this person forgot what side he was on. And in the next morning when he closed his awning, when he shut it, he got covered face to shoulder in some liquid that looked like Barocca.
In his own. Wow. Gee whiz. That's a mistake he will not make again.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's funny though.
Yeah.
That's what makes camping fun. Stories like that just.
Oh mate. Yeah. I've got another cracker, but we'll save that for another time.
Can't wait to hear that one next episode. All right, moving on. Nicholas D'Angelo asks, if you're restricted to purely touring, no crazy four-wheel driving, what shopping trolley would you prefer, a Pajero or a Prado?
Prado.
I don't have much experience with either, but if Ronnie said Prado, I'm going to say that's the answer.
What kind of what year? What model? What are we going?
Yeah, you can't really go past the 150. I mean, the 150 is good.
Are they the older, like the?
That's the one that's now.
Oh, the now one.
Yeah,
okay.
the now one. I'd probably just go that. But if that new one was available, I'd go that.
One of your camera guys or something has a Prado, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's Chris, who has put in for the Troopy.
Ah,
Oh yeah.
the 2.8 litre one.
Yeah, he's so happy with how that Prado is set up. Like, it just works for him. He removed the rooftop tent because he needed more space on top, because the trips he started doing were, more frequent and further. So you'd think you want to keep the rooftop tent, but in his case, he needed more space for water and stuff, because you are a bit limited on a Prado where you can put stuff when you got a car full of camera gear. And that's the problem for people who go out and film stuff. For example, the trip I just came back from, my back seats were full of camera gear.
Yeah.
One of the boxes on the roof had lighting gear in it, so we could light up so yeah, that's why he's going for the Troopy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but there's some cool Prados out there too. I just love the look of some of those Prados that people have done up. Harry Fisher's and
he's done a cool.
Sarah and Keelan from Sarah and Keelan Travels. They're in a 200 now, but their Prado beforehand was the 150. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
that was nice.
Yeah,
yeah.
That was the 150 with the 3 litre.
Right.
Before they did the
Yeah. Okay.
And there's a couple of guys in the tag-alongs. Funnily enough, his name was Chris as well. Wicked Prado again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Mitsubishi, if, the guy with the Triton a couple of weeks ago, he wasn't happy that we might have neglected the Tritons a bit and the Pajeros. Now we've probably just put aside, but keep sending in your cool Tritons and Pajeros. So
we love all cars here.
We're open.
We're not just Toyota or Toyota
even
people.
Lada Nivas are even welcome.
Yeah.
Or Corollas with rooftops.
Corollas with awnings.
Yeah. I found a wicked. I didn't find it. I just drove past it, but I was thinking about going to knock on the door of this house and just being like, can I have a little walk around this thing? Again, it was like of the Corolla spec. I don't even know what it was, but it was this little red rocket that looked that awesome. I might
red as well.
I might do a couple of laps back past it. I know where it is.
Yeah, my mate sent me a good video, and I'll get it up afterwards. Maybe I'll put it up on socials. But I can't even explain what it is.
Yeah.
It's like a Falcon that's been turned into a 4-wheel drive, lifted like 6 inches off.
Oh wow,
it's mad.
Nice.
Maybe I'll put it up on
Falcon
socials. I'm not sure. I had a quick look. Honestly, don't know why I brought it up right now, but I had a quick look, and it looked pretty nuts. Not 100% sure.
Yeah,
but
we could.
Yeah, maybe I'll throw it up on socials afterwards, and we can get some dialogue going.
Yep.
But that's interesting.
I like it.
Anyway, speaking of cars that we've missed out on, Ned Osborne comes in with whenever you boys list 4-wheel drives or utes, you never mention Amaroks. I've mainly used mine on beaches and dunes, but it's been pretty reliable for me. Where's the love for Amaroks?
Yeah, I like it. I like how people are calling us out on this too. Because we probably have been a little bit Toyota Ford biased. So
definitely.
I like that we're going down this path.
Ooh, hang on, sorry, fire's stopped.
Oh.
Yeah.
There we
go.
No,
thank you for that.
Amarok.
I just don't have a lot of experience with them. Obviously at the novice stage.
I mean, they got a bad name when there was the emissions thing.
Yeah, okay.
And I think that's where people sort of trash talk them a bit.
Yep.
There's that Pat Callanan. He built a bloody big one. He had the 35s on it or something.
That was good.
That looked pretty cool. I featured one on modified. Now that was really cool. Had like the whole canopy set up, like door on the sides and a door on the back, with a rooftop tent. That thing was loaded to the max. That was cool. I got nothing against Amaroks. I reckon
Were they one of the first of the modern day sort of utes to go to the V6 like that? Was that a bit of their
because they're V6, aren't they? Yeah.
And the new ones look really good too. I like the look of the new ones that they brought out.
I haven't seen the new ones.
Yeah, I'll pull one up. They look quite nice.
What engine are they gone with now? Do you know?
I think it's still a V6, but I only know that from looking at the badge on the side. I don't know if that's actually. I don't know what options they've got there.
To be honest, there's no real modern dual cab that I dislike, apart from like maybe a Sayong or something, or Mahindra, which is labelled as the cousin of the 70 series.
Cousin of the Mahindra.
They look kind of similar. A lot of people just say that, it is a new 70 series. Even I say when I drive past one, hey, I just saw the new 70 series.
This is it here, the new Amarok.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it looks quite nice. It's pretty slick.
They're all starting to look very similar.
They are a little bit. It looks a little bit
very
like the
similar
new
to
Ranger.
the new Ranger. Yeah.
I'm just trying to read this, but it's 3 litre V6 diesel. Yep.
Still 3 litre. Yeah.
A hefty 600 Newton meters of torque is on offer.
How many Newton meters?
600.
Wow. Okay.
So
when you compare that to like a V8 turbo diesel, like what's in the 200 and a 70, those engines are pushing out more power.
yeah,
And a lot of people wonder why, but I think it's because a lot of these engines from Toyota, they're very underpowered. You can ask a lot more out of them.
yep,
But you have to physically go and tune it yourself to get that. So in a lot of sense, if you don't want to spend money on refining a vehicle, which you have to with a 70 series because they're very robust but very crude,
yep,
you're better off getting something like that.
yeah, yep,
It's got the power, it's got all the stuff, and the warranty will probably outlast of how long you want to keep the vehicle for.
yep.
I think that's kind of important. Isn't Mitsubishi doing like a 10-year warranty?
Don't know
Something
if
like
they
that?
are to be
One of those,
huge.
yeah, one of us doing
I'll have
it's
a
10
look.
year. It's crazy. 10 years.
You going to try and find that, Jaden?
It kind of, you'd be almost nuts if you're weighing that vehicle up with another one. You'd be better off going with the 10-year warranty.
Yeah, I know.
Unless you're going to mod it, you know.
I know a lot of people that are just backing that in now that don't mind too much what they're driving. Not so much in the, they're not into four-wheel driving and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
just speaking about purchasing new cars, they're chasing the warranty over anything.
Yeah,
'Cause it's just-
definitely.
so much security in that. If it's a 10-year warranty, it's like, whoa.
Yeah, it looks like that's true.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's crazy.
That is full on.
10 years.
Yeah, Diamond Advantage 10-year car warranty. I think the standard is 5, but you can upgrade
Yeah.
to 10,
Wow.
according to the website. But if you're looking
Good
at buying
offer.
a Mitsubishi, maybe have a bit more research into that.
Yeah.
As a
10
business,
years.
Yeah.
if I was
That's
a
huge.
business advisor, I'd be saying Mitsubishi, what the are you doing?
Yeah.
Imagine Mitsubishi's lawyer. He would have said, hey, scale it back. 5 years, guys. 5.
maybe there's warrant in that though. Like we've neglected Mitsubishi a little bit and the Triton, but maybe they're backing themselves in.
Yeah, well,
So maybe
10 years.
maybe they know something we don't. So.
Yeah.
There
I'm
you
sure
go.
there's a lot of things that we don't know.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right.
Anyway, that is all the questions I've got here, boys. So we'll wrap this
Beautiful.
one up. Yeah.
Sounds good. Beach to bush. That's about it, mate.
Was there a clear winner in the end?
I feel like Bush edged a little bit.
I think Bush kind of edged it a little bit, but Beach, I'm calling it a tie, boys.
It's still
fancy
undecided.
Maybe write into us.
Up to the listener.
Write into us on the 4 Drive Podcast on Instagram. We'd love to hear, and then leave a little note where you're from, so that we can just collate the data a little bit there, and we'll get back to you that one.
Vote 1 Beach, vote 2 Bush.
Love it. All right, Beach versus Bush. What's best? We didn't really decide, so hopefully you can for us. But Southern River Band with Let It Ride will see us out. The 4 Drive Podcast on Instagram. Please get across to us. We'd love to hear from you, and all our episodes over on BackChat on YouTube. Cheers, guys.
See you at the beach for the bush.